is Dakota Pariset. I am the creative director of Micro Chicago. We are Chicago's home for micro theater, where we play in the infinite space of small. We are just now coming up on the last day of our Winter Quarterly 2026. It's our sophomore effort for that. And we are joined by one of the resident playwrights in expanding the Winter Quarterly kind of post-mortem whole series thing that we do, sort of podcasts discussion style, into a new kind of exciting venture. So usually what we'll do is we'll roll out the quarterly over a couple of weeks. We'll get together on a thing and we'll chat about it afterwards with the residents. And this quarterly, we're playing with something a little bit new, the premiere of a new series called Microdiagnostics, the brainchild of which is one of our ensemble members and one of the new residents for 2026, Christine Marie. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Well, hi, I'm Christine Marie. I'm the writer of this play that we're going to diagnose or diagnosticize. Sure, why not? We're going to make up words. I thought that it would be really fun to get people who are in different factions of art to all experience the paper festival, as I think the paper festival is really brilliant, because it offers a chance to talk to designers and film and theater and bridge that music, Foley, who are we talking to in it? And so I think preambling all of the people who have joined me today to do so. And we're going to break down kind of what is the experience of the microplay in the paper festival. So introducing, we'll start with Charley McMullen.
Very well, thank you. I'm a stand-up comedian, cartoonist. Christine and I met about 10 years ago when we both moved to Memphis in the same week, and we bonded over comedy since then. She's gone back to Pittsburgh, I've gone back to Colorado, but we still connect on about the visual arts that we both do. We're kind of each other's sounding board for ideas that would take too much backstory to tell anybody else, frankly. I think I'm part of this because I've been a comedy punch-up writer for a number of years, which is basically a diagnosticizer of jokes. So I can certainly take that to a stage script. And as Christine knows, there's really nothing that I say no to. I have a lot of free time, and this is how I'm going to spend some of it. So thank you for allowing me to be part of it.
Well, and now that I am in Chicago, the Pledge of Allegiance is yes and, right? So yes and, Katie James, let's hear from you.
Oh, hey. Speaking of improv, we go way back to the improv days of Pittsburgh and Steel City Comedy Theater and teaching people to do the make-em-ups way back in 2012. It's so good to see you again. So exciting to see and hear a work you have made. Very curious now about Micro Chicago and all of the cool things that are happening here. Can't wait to hear it all. I'm a music director, composer, sound designer person.
Well, this is exactly why I want to combine all of the people, because you should all know each other, because you're all wonderful. Like my best friend, Angela, let's hear from you.
Proud title of best friend. I am Angela, a writer, mainly, though more of like poetry and fiction, and I would lean more like the poetry side, so like more of like the lyric of writing rather than the storytelling of writing, which I mean I value both, but I think that if we're talking where what I represent here is more that space. So also very fascinated by the whole like infinite of the small, because isn't that like what poetry is about too, right? Compressing everything into the smallest possible form. So that's really cool. So happy to be here and participate in this and from that perspective, I guess.
And Jay, round us out.
Well, I'm Jay Rohr. I'm a writer. I live in Chicago, Chicagoland area. Lived in and around the city my whole life. I'm a storyteller. I do live nonfiction performances. They're usually comedic, but they're always about dark subjects because I am a magnet for terrible people in my life. But sometimes I end up with some really great people around me, such as Christine and Dakota. And then they invite me into moments like this to let me know that everything's not terrible in the world. So, yeah, I'm a writer and I just got a knack for editing. And I'm also that guy that like people ask me, can you tell that couple to break up? Because that is a horrible relationship and we do not want them dating each other. So, I have a
Services
gift for
that you
being
offer.
blunt.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Make some money. Niche.
So, that said, pleasure to be here.
Well, thank you all for coming. Let's break into this script. We're gonna let Charley read it. And just any like first impressions, last impressions, whatever you got, jot them down in your brain space, and then we will get to you about, like I said. So first question is gonna be, what are the beats? So let's listen in.
Man shuffles into the house, feet tied together. Sound of an eking balloon. The floor cracks. He breathes in really shallow. As he shuffles, he knocks over a coat rack, some family heirlooms from the wall. A Lego creation crashes down. He steps on some in a shuffle, lifts his leg. Sound of a gushing river. He's sweating. He gives up all hope and runs, get it, to the bathroom. Woman enters to find the front door ajar. The mess. She follows the trail to find him. They lock eyes. Everything he's worked for flashes before him. Will she ever love him again? He sticks out a foot in desperation to kick down what's left of his dignity. He cannot reach from his precarious perch. Don't let the door close. Saxophone.
That was Scene by Christine Marie. That was my submission for the prompt that was don't let the door close. Dakota, would you like to explain that a little bit further?
Yeah. So just to quickly, concisely expound, what the way we kind of structure our quarterlies is we'll do, four every year. We do, winter we'll start with, and then we'll do a spring, a summer, and then a fall. And usually that all culminates in a microfest where this last year we read all of the plays that were from each of the quarterlies by the playwrights. So the way we structure is like an individual quarterly. So this winter quarterly, for example, each of the playwrights are given a prompt that is submitted by each of them. And then we select those at random. So about 3 weeks ago, we gave them the prompt, which was from Jared Goudsman, who is one of the other ensemble members in the residency. They were given the playwrights were given about 5-ish to a week to write a one-page play and get it submitted. For that submission, they receive a $25 commission. And then what we'll do is we'll roll it out over what we call a paper festival. There's no real paper involved, but there's just no live element to it outside of what we're doing now, which is super exciting. I was just watching Christine the whole time. You just like hiding your face behind your cup with excitement.
Never. Angela cannot attest to this at all. I know what you mean.
But to kind of close it out, what we do then for these is we'll do kind of a profile of the playwright, so headshot. We'll do a bio, and then we'll also include some little Q&As, micro little bites, to get to know them. And then the following day, usually we'll go ahead and post the play, which will come with a poster, which Christine has been awesome in doing for this recent quarterly. And then we do just the screenshotable version of the script, which we ask not be more than 1.5 pages long, just so that we're holding ourselves to our micro abilities. And yeah, that's kind of what happened. That's how it goes.
All right. So, wishes and miracles, which is what I call the children, because they're not boys and girls, but you are one or the other, a wish or a miracle. What do we think?
As an accident, I feel very left out right now.
Yeah, that makes you the miracle. If you're an accident, you're a miracle. If you were planned, you were a wish.
As an orphan, I'm offended because I was unwanted.
I think we were all unwanted by somebody. Come on.
Man.
No, but then you were somebody's miracle because you got to come to them. See? All right. Jay, you go first. Tell me the beats of the story. What did you hear?
Well, the first impression is the guy being in a panic, and there's a great sense of like movement in how it's written. Like you can clearly picture what's going on, right up until the very end, and then yeah, it's just a scramble. It's just a desperate scramble to not make things worse than they already are. I guess is my impression. And then just there's the little twist at the end with "Don't let the door close." I don't know if now is the time for additional notes, but yeah.
Yeah. What? I'm going to ask more directly because some people have different impressions, and I want whatever you're thinking to be very clear. What happened?
Yeah,
Okay.
Let's go in the round. I'm curious what each person thinks.
Yeah. My round kind of moved, so let's go, Angela.
Okay, so like the beats again, and then sort of what happens from my perspective, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay. So we see a man. He's troubled, very deeply troubled. I get a sense of like pain, I guess. Like this is pained. He's physically constrained, right? He's shuffling along. Then there's the Legos, which is sort of like a moment of collapse because the Legos collapse, but then he also loses that restraint there and is unable to hold himself together at that point. Then there's again, yeah, like you were saying, the rush kind of moment of like the pun he runs, of course, but also like the scramble. That's like a flurry moment, and then you think it's sort of a relief, and then there's like, oh God, his life is flashing before his eyes because the worst thing he could imagine is happening. But then the twist is that it's not so bad because she's here and it's okay. And honestly, my take is like that was kind of the sense of like it's like a salvation moment of like maybe that's a little too big of a word. It's not like salvation, but it's like comfort. The sort of like simple domesticity happening here where it's like the most kind of grotesque thing, but it's also just like cohabitation and it's like whatever, don't let the door close because whatever. I don't know if I should say more than that at this point, if we want to continue with our first impressions before I go into anything else.
Sure, yeah. bite that because I saw Katie James react to something that you said, the pun. Did you not see the pun, Katie James?
I did not.
This is what I mean. So tell me the beats of the story to you. I just can't so hard. Too excited.
Man enters. Man has several thoughts. Man steps on Lego. This in my head, that beat takes time. Because when you step on a fucking Lego, it's a minute. You got to deal with it. And like the sound of the river after the Lego. Yes, is that
Yeah.
correct?
Uh-huh.
In my head, I was like, sound of river. Oh, it's just my head heard that as absurdist theater and like man steps on Lego, man begins bleeding out, man goes to bathtub to bleed out and die.
Bleeding out to die.
And then second long beat in the bathtub, waiting for lady to come home. Um, uh,
We are seeing different fluids here.
I
Excited.
believe that.
Yes. Continue.
Yeah. And then just stays there and holds on to life until she gets home, and she just says, "Don't let the door close." And then there's a saxophone as we pull back and out, and that's end of play. There's no, to my ear, there's no like specific, what's the word, resolution to anything. It's just an extreme event to my ears being made to look like an average night.
That's beautiful. This is totally what I was looking for. I don't know if anybody saw Phoebe Waller-Bridge on Stephen Colbert, and he was like, "Can I ask you what the fox is?" And he tells her something, and she's like, "That's what it is now." So I love that is your interpretation, and we're gonna take your perfect, gentle, sweetheart, and we're gonna throw it to Dakota because I know that Dakota is also a precious. And no, tell me your beats. Tell me your beats.
Like my first impression, for some reason, and you know, like I thought it was kind of like a breakup kind of situation. My brain is like, oh, this is like the ex-boyfriend who like used to live there and is like breaking in to get like items, or maybe he's a creep, I don't know. And then like she catches him, and then she's just like, just leave. And I don't know, for me, it also has a very, because saxophone at the end, I'm just like, oh, this is like also some kind of Mad Many noir style thing. It's kind of like slow burns. I thought of you, Jay. But yeah,
because I said this to Jay before I said it to you, and I was like, Dakota's not even going to approve this.
I thought it was great. And it's so fantastic that it's like very much a movement piece. And then you get just like the little button of dialogue that, of course, is just, get the fuck out.
I live for the noir idea. I fucking love that.
Little saxophone.
Yeah.
It's kind of smoky. Just
exactly right.
That's fine.
Charley, to you. Tell me about your movement, your butt, your face.
Okay. I got a very different impression of this. I think it is a defining moment of every couple, regardless of gender, regardless of how long you've been together. It is a defining moment of every couple is how a diarrhea situation is handled, and whether or not your union is stronger after diarrhea or if it crumbles as a result of it. Because I think the most important early beat is second sentence where it says sound of an eking balloon. We're hearing a balloon, but we need to see his eyes. And we need to see the abandonment of all hope in his eyes right there. He knows he is going to shit himself, and he knows that this person that he's trying to build a life with is going to find him just with his lower half completely covered in diarrhea. And this is the moment. If she lets the door close, it's over. They're breaking up. They're not going to say that's why, but they're going to know. But if she stops that door from closing because he can't reach it with his diarrhea covered foot, then she keeps it open. She helps him through it. Then they will be stronger after the diarrhea. So it's a victorious saxophone, kind of like in Lethal Weapon.
Yes. What? Okay. So the final, like the third act of it that I think is interesting to all of you is that my saxophone, after she says don't let the door close, gets to be his next horror story, because maybe she's into it and maybe he didn't know it. Right? Because it depends on how that line is delivered.
Okay, so an alternate title could be Shit Just Got Real.
I honestly debated calling it saxophone, but I thought that would give it away, and clearly it does not. I love how many different interpretations this took. This is beautiful, and it's all what's interesting is Katie James saw a bathtub, said precarious perch. I didn't say bathtub.
I do want to be clear. This is what I get for not looking at the script and relying on ears and memory alone.
Well,
for what I catch.
Here's the thing.
Because that balloon, real important.
Speaking of balloon, real important, true. But you got Gushing River and you got saxophone.
Yeah.
And you
my
got
saxophone was funky. I heard Tower of Power.
Tower of Power. That's the other thing. Oh, Angela, what was your saxophone? What did you hear?
I don't know. I just kind of like a wah wah kind of. You know, that's not a saxophone.
Totally relevant.
But
yeah,
but it was more just like a saxophone noise, not a melody.
Jay, I think you sent me
Careless Whispers.
Oh, yes, it was Careless Whisper, because I was thinking, what's the other one?
Yakety Sax?
No, but that's hilarious too.
For his way into the bathroom.
What was that, Charlie?
For his way into the bathroom.
Yeah, Betty Hill, totally. I also think that as part of the paper festival, it is relevant to have like the audio accompany maybe it, so that people can really, I mean, I know I watch everything with subtitles, right? So maybe kind of putting that together with the rest of the paper festival is helpful.
Micro radio,
but even more as like an accessibility thing.
Trademark.
Katie James, don't you do a lot with the like?
I mean, when you write a play or a script like this, you hand it to me, you're basically looking at the composer going, "You tell this story. I know what it is."
Because it definitely feels like a gushing river, but in reality, it sounds like a near empty salad dressing bottle.
Sure. Listen, I've been through enough Hidden Valley Ranch that I can Foley that shit up just enough. I mean, I don't eat ranch, but my roommates do. I never touch the stuff from a moral perspective. But yeah, no, like this is my fucking playground for like top to bottom. And like, what are the effects that are on her dialogue?
There
Right?
you go.
Like
Yeah,
what, like if we're telling this from his perspective, how do you hear that line being delivered when you are sitting in your current predicament?
exactly. And that rolls us perfectly into Katie James. As you look at it from your perspective, from your talent as the music developing, whatever, you're watching Mindy and Derek do this scene. Just picking. Um, what are you doing to it? And is it can still be your interpretation of it. It doesn't have to be the turdmonger. That was my intention.
Sure.
Say Page Club.
Yeah.
I like you, Charlie. Uh, the well, first of all, whenever I take on anything like this, I sit with the first job is to sit with the writer and the director and do I apologize if everybody already knows this. You sit and you do what's called a spotting session, which is where we decide where the beats are for sound and soundtrack, where there's music, where there's not. Oftentimes directors will come in with like a preloaded playlist of like, here are music pieces that I think embody the vibe of these moments. Um, but that's step one, which also includes me getting the writer's fucking intentions correct, and not missing very important lines in the script. We'd fix that first, probably before I ever saw it. Um, and then from there,
That is some David Lynch shit, though. I mean, if it were a guy bleeding to death, that would be awesome. Like a Lego to the foot is like the most interesting juxtaposition of innocence and pain to me.
Yeah.
did see you gotta stop flirting with me, Charlie.
He's
Uh,
bound to do
but
that.
this is where I'm headed. Yeah, that's I might. If it were me directing it, I would have questions, and they would center on that. Uh, but mine is not to decide as a sound designer or composer. Mine is to decide when I am the playwright. Um, uh, so those would be my first steps. After that, I'm sending demos. I would put like the spoken dialogue in like a Logic file or a Pro Tools session and do like a mock-up score to all of it. Um, Figure out some of the basic sound effects and whatnot, and just speak all the lines with my own voice, or do like the little stage directions so that like whoever I'm working with can know like these are the sounds that go here, 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 and here. So that when we go to film things or perform things, we know roughly how long each beat takes, what we want people to experience. We know how long to sit in moments so that I'm not, so that however I score it is roughly the way the actors will understand it. That'd be my process.
Fantastic. And you're not wrong. Nobody is wrong. And that's what I think is so fun about the paper festival. And I love like the collaboration of where is this going and what are we doing. And I also think that Dinner for Schmucks, starring Steve Carell, I believe, if you change the soundtrack to a horror soundtrack, it becomes a horror movie with nothing else changed.
Yeah, no, Dinner for Schmucks is introvert horror.
Exactly.
Or at
You
least
get
that's
me.
yeah. Uh Question for the me in the room. Is part of the point of Micro Chicago to put up or read plays that are open to very varied interpretation? Is that part of the assignment, or is this just something that is happening now? This is probably
Yeah.
a Dakota question.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think so. My initial inspiration in like kind of running with this is like a lot of it taken from Suzanne Laurie Parks, Carol Churchill's, like really tiny bits. But there's this like collection by the Debate Society, which is they've done a show at Steppenwolf. They've had some stuff kind of off Broadway, but they had this collection called 15-second plays, and they had asked a bunch like Annie Baker and a couple other like playwrights to write a play that could sustain for 15 seconds. And I was just like, whoa, because some of this stuff was just very, I mean, it's like, how do you do that? And it obviously was very small, very like, but just very potent. And some of them were very just simple, like poems. Others were like, I think Lisa D'Amour had written, like, it was called New Rochelle, a 15-second play in a frame, and it was fucking 3 pages long. And I'm like, this is not a 15-second play, but there's some kind of crazy, fucked up psychology that I don't quite understand, or philosophy or whatever. So I'm just going to let it go. But it was just some of the stuff that was written in there was just so simple, but also like so expansive. And I think that there's something in how different playwrights come to the concept of something very, very small, and how, you know, vast that can be. Like, I think this is, for a micro play, this could very easily run, you know, for half an hour. And it's just a matter of like, how are you doing that, you know? And I think that's something that just blows my mind, is like, what can you do with this much space?
The writer perspective of it, that is very much my intention, is to see how you interpret what I've put on the page. Because I think I'm being very clear, but that everyone has this very like revealing reaction to it. Can I tell you all my favorite joke and kind of give away like what I was doing with saxophone? Because of the paper festival, this is why it's fun, is because it's in your mind and nothing can alter kind of what's in your mind. So my favorite joke is, what is the difference between pink and purple? Your grip. Now, whatever you're picturing is dirtier than anything that I could have just said. So that's what I try to make saxophone, is your interpretation very, very distinctly. What your interpretation was is what it is. And that's what I think is so cool about the paper festival, especially if you've done 24, 48, you know, that kind of like short run theater kind of thing, is you don't get to include the designers the way that you get to include the designers and be in their heads like pink and purple. So it was very much my intention for it to be interpretive, but that everyone took it to such different extremes is great. And it's all based on, you're telling me I wrote a paragraph, and how flattering that you're all like, and the movement, you know, that I love that. What as, cause Dakota, you've now posted it without having that intention in your mind of, it's a poop joke. And this is kind of why I kept asking, like, did nobody say anything? What? But it's because you and Katie are such gentle sweethearts. And that kind of tells me so much about the person that I'm working with too. And that tells me if I want to work with you, and I do, you know? So what would be your first approach? The first thing that you do when you receive this script? Dakota.
Me?
Mm-hmm.
Oh God, pass. I don't direct anymore.
No, but let's say you're the actor.
Oh, if I'm an actor, oh my goodness. I mean, Well, so I definitely come from like a school of like just very simplistic, you know, Meisner focused work. So like, I mean, there's for me the thing that's super appealing about this is like the behavior that can come out in a very like intimate space. So I'm kind of a nerd for doing like found spaces or like apartment like stuff. So like this is for me through the kind of like lens that I have. I'm like, oh, I would host a night of very like tiny plays, and I would put this up, and this would be one of the bits maybe at the top or like near the back end of the evening. And yeah, I don't know. I'd try to figure out if I had like some kind of little soundtrack or something. But yeah, let's see. Man shuffles into the house, feet tied together. So I mean, yeah, I guess that's how I would want to produce it. Is just put it in an actual space. I mean, if we're going the poop route, maybe I'm not gonna.
No, how
The
would you
poop
stage
route.
it though the way that you saw it?
Yeah, well, so I mean that's pretty much it. It's just someone's coming in, we turn the lights down, and so then you maybe are getting just like the street light from the alley or whatever through the window. And then you have someone like a key come in through into the apartment. And then you have, people just kind of sitting all over the apartment, right? And then the guy comes in and starts rummaging around. And it's like you're just kind of being a part of a break-in, I guess. And then at some point, he turns the lights on, and you get a lot more of these kind of like physical seeing things now that the lights are up, and these potential him getting caught. I think you kind of try to build that in a little bit. Um, and then maybe that's when he runs to a bathroom. So then he bolts into a bathroom, and then the audience is just kind of left with this empty space. He thinks he's good. He comes in, and as he's coming back in, the door is opening into the space, and bam, they lock. And you just kind of hold that beat a little bit. And I don't know, that's where maybe you get kind of funky with the noir music that's kind of living in the space. And then you just kind of run it out the rest of the way there, give the line, then let the door close, saxophone, slow saunter out. By God.
Amazing.
Just top of my head, but
Since I like this kind of wave of the music direction versus the space direction, and Charley, as a cartoonist, you kind of get the all of it. Where do you squeeze it in to?
Well, to put it in like comic strip terms, it could be like when the kids on Family Circus would do a bunch of activities at once. There's the dotted line that goes everywhere. Uh, I
Yeah.
think it, I think it is kind of like a one shot kind of uh, like gauntlet of Rube Goldberg type shit that this guy is going through on his way to the bathroom that kind of culminates with the Lego. So I think the most important like blocking would be he comes in from like just picturing it from the audience. He comes in from stage, or yeah, he comes in from the left, shuffling for just less than 5 seconds, just so we know that he's shuffling. The balloon sound effect tells us why he is shuffling. From that point forward, it is just a like panicked gulag until he like because there's the coat rack and he's knocking shit off the wall. He gets to the Lego, so it's a Lego creation. So this is yes, it's a couple the way I'm taking it, but not necessarily like a kid's Lego creation. Like it's like probably some big thing that he got at a Lego convention that he's really proud of. So not only is he losing that, which is probably a prized possession, but he also takes a Lego to the foot, which is what kind of sadistic streak were you on when you wrote that? Like, not only is he shitting himself in a panic, but a Lego to the foot. Just put that fucking cherry right on top of that. And so that is the moment of defeat. And then he just, from there, he just pulls himself to the bathroom, just like like a wounded soldier pulling himself to safety through a battlefield. He's just army crawling with diarrhea shooting down the back of his leg. We can hear it. And if you cast like a Matthew Lillard type, he should be able to sell that shit until he gets to the bathroom, and then it's just all more Foley work. And then you do fade out, fade back up to indicate time has passed when she finally gets home, sees the aftermath, and just walks through it at like sort of mirroring his earlier actions, but like from an outside perspective, like an audience reaction to it. Like she's almost the audience surrogate at that point. Like, Jesus, that happened. Like she finds everything and then finds him in a bathroom. What if he said, "Don't let the door close"?
That's why he can't say it. That's why she
I
has
see.
to be
Okay.
the term,
All right.
is because
Right.
either this is what Angie was saying of comfort, or this is getting sexy and this is getting scary, because you don't have his answer to saxophone. You just have saxophone.
Well, just for a moment, take poop fetishism out of it for just a sec. We'll put it right back in. Don't worry about that. But just for a sec, let's just say this is more like a relationship type story.
Sure.
The line "Don't let the door close" could be kind of her Jiminy Cricket saying that to herself. Like, if you love him, be strong for him. He needs you right now. He needs you to not judge and help him out of this literal shit that he's in.
Yeah. And who hasn't been there? And if
But
you
what's
haven't,
really-
sorry for you.
What is really funny is what was said earlier. Who said it was a trombone, not a saxophone going wah wah?
That was Angela.
Yeah, okay, that would be the funniest possible ending, where instead of a saxophone, it's just that sound, or like when the yodeler goes over the mountain on The Price is Right, just bah, 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 and she just backs away and walks out the front door and never looks back.
Yeah, could be, but that wasn't the prompt, was it, Dakota? Yeah, perfect. Angela, where do you enter in when you're looking at it, editor?
Well, I mean, okay, so I read the Legos very differently. And I've been stuck on the Legos since we started, because to
Great.
me the Legos are doing a lot of work. And they are indicating that this is not a couple, this is a family. There are children involved in this situation.
Okay.
I definitely saw Legos and just sort of instinctively assumed that was a pile of kids' toys on the floor. And it doesn't indicate that one way or the other, but that was like sort of so I assumed that. So I assumed based on that implies to me that this is like a long-term relationship. And so my first sort of like whatever summary is like his perspective, right? That's why I'm thinking trombone, because he's ashamed, he's in pain emotionally from the beginning because he's already dealing with this thing, and then it's like starting to like eke out of him and he can't control it. He's lost control of the situation. Now he's deeply embarrassed because she has found him. But like to me, when she says "don't let the doors close," it's like she's tired. She's had a long day. This is happening. She would rather the door close, but the air, it needs to air out. Like you can't trap it in the bathroom. There's not good ventilation. You just have to let it. You have to live with it. And so that's how I read it. And so the trombone sound is from his perspective, because I was thinking this is mostly his perspective. But yeah, like I'm just reading this whole scene as a much more like, not like this is a loving family, but they're just in the, we're 10 years in, they have kids, like she's just like, okay, but like I liked the point about like she's got to be strong for him, because that also kind of reads into it, like she's tired, but also like she's gonna be there for him because this is, what you do when someone's going through it. Like, I mean,
Th-
personally, I'd
This is
give
the
them
kind
some
of this is the
space.
kind of stuff that saves marriages.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I think you give them some space, but also maybe you check on them. Like, if this is anything that's going on in the bathroom that is maybe not normal, you want to make, are you okay in there? So
Just leave a Gatorade by the door, step away.
so I guess, yeah, like I guess the Legos for me are like this whole setup of like this domestic scene, right? Of like, and also this sort of like exhausted woman. So, and is not leaving after this, but it is a mark of sort of a long-term space. Like all of this stuff is long-term. This is familiarity, intimacy, but not like sexy intimacy. Just like these are the spaces we share. We have a life together. It includes the gross stuff and the painful Legos, but also like it's home.
Totally. And I think it's interesting too of just by establishing man and woman, like I get it's heteronormative. I could have just put partner and partner. But it how long the relationship lasts is interesting, how that changes the perspective for all of you as well. Of like, it's a Lego creation, she's a new girlfriend, he's been single a long time. Or it's a Lego creation, the kids are in the house, I'm exhausted. All valid perspectives just from moving in that two little.
I do think that either way the Legos do a lot of work. Like it depending on how the prop that is involved or what the staging looks like there. If it looks like adult Legos like that exist and he's built this and it is like something like that he's put a lot of work into versus like something that's clearly children's toys that does a lot of work in terms of telling storytelling and scene setting and vibe setting, like what you're getting out of it. So like what that looks like if you're talking about staging.
And then Jay, are you the last one?
Yeah, I guess so. I too am very much enjoying how varied the interpretations of this art. It is absolutely fantastic, especially again, not to keep going over it, but yeah, the Lego thing really is an important part of the story because it shifts everybody's perspective on it. Even the sound of the eking balloon, like the way it could be done performatively, you could have your performer on stage and he could look relieved after the sound, like, oh, I got away with it, like I let off a little bit of pressure and I escaped the whore. And then moving forward, then the whole Lego situation, because I'm on board with the whole idea that that's when the dynamite goes boom. Like stepping on the Lego piece is just the thing that shatters any illusion of holding it all together. Um, and then of course, like I'm just trying to like I'm thinking about like I love the pun of runs to the bathroom, but I also like I've literally seen this happen to somebody at a bar, and the resignation, the walk of absolute resignation is very unique, to say the least. Just to put that out there. And if I were to add one thing to this, it would be that kicking with the foot gets the edge of the door and the door does start to close and then she just pushes it open again.
Ooh,
That would
uh-huh.
be my only suggestion, not like you have to do this or I will find you and fire burn,
Well, no, but that's the cool thing about the paper festival. Again, thank you, Dakota, is because we have that time to like play with it and see. Um,
What I would almost like to, what I would almost love to see is a live performance of this incorporating all of the takes. Like just to see how an audience responds to the idea that like there's these three different wild that are all in there. Like I think it would just be very interesting to watch it build up and start with like this as like on a screen, and then you go to the guy bleeding out in the bathtub, and then the noirish one, and then just straight up poop joke.
Okay, I
yes,
I love that. That's a really cool idea.
So, Angela, can you
Just-
tell them
just
about
that-
Rehearsal in Perspective, that other show I did 100 years ago? My first
God.
one in Pittsburgh?
You want me to tell them? Why don't you tell them?
Well, because you were a
I
witness.
don't remember.
But it's exactly that. Is I took the same script and I
Right.
told it 5 different ways.
Mm-hmm.
One was a drag queen getting comfortable with themselves. One was
Right. Yes.
a murder victim.
And it was the same monologue, but
yeah,
different
and I
people
didn't
telling
change
it.
anything but like what they did.
Right.
So
Yeah, I mean that is very cool, and that would be really neat to see. Like with something like this, you could really play with the idea of how many different ways something so simple can be interpreted.
and that's why we're doing microdiagnostics. Ta-da! It was such a good idea.
Yeah,
Hooray.
true. And it just, yeah, it speaks to just the universality behind even something that seems so specific. Just the complete, like Legos. Yeah. Well, I I'm just really smitten by this idea. Thank you all for being game to play with it and dig into it, like script
Yeah.
analysis is, I think, great, and you don't get it so much outside of doing it for a class and stuff like that. So like when we all can kind of just nerd out a little bit and get into it, it's just, I'm always fascinated too by how everybody comes to different things. So and I'm not uberly familiar with like Katie James, your kind of area, or like how all of that works, like the finer points. So yeah, Christine, go ahead and lead us into a nice little closeout, but we usually like to end these things with some shameless plugs if you folks have anything going on. So Christine, go ahead and pass that around, but just to say thank you all again for sharing a little bit of your evening with us and breaking down a play a little bit. It's been fun.
Yeah. I appreciate you all so much for this, and I hope that you got as much out of it as I did. And when I share this with the world and we edit it, I hope that you'll also share it and show people how wonderful you are. Obviously, I'm in Micro Chicago. I'm an ensemble member and a resident writer. What do you have going on, Angela?
I don't really have anything to plug. I mean, we're working on a book right now, but it's not in any way that I can say go buy it and whatever. But my wife and I and a friend of ours are doing a collab right now that we're in the stages of editing, so I can send you the links when we publish that baby. But otherwise, yeah.
Charley.
If you're ever in the greater Colorado Springs area, stop by Looney's Comedy Corner. I have a monthly stand-up show called The Dark Hour, where comedians do their own banned material from other clubs.
Jay.
Okay. I think I mentioned earlier that I have a couple of I do live shows. I got a couple live shows coming up in March and April. I'm going to be at First Person Live in Arlington Heights, and then O'Shaughnessy's Pub for Is This a Thing on I think March 9th. I have a website called Honesty Is Not Contagious, and you can keep track of the things that I do there because I have a lot of things in the pipeline at the moment, but nothing definitively out. I got a music album coming out, and then an EP after that is planned. And I have a couple of anthologies with short fiction that are, according to the publisher, on the way. But yeah, things are happening, for lack of a better term. But yeah, check out Honesty Is Not Contagious. And I should have a roundup of things like my movie reviews, my live performances, and my music all there. Thank you.
Great. Katie James.
Honesty is not contagious is such a great line. And Charlie, did you say band material? They do all their band material?
Yeah, what we tell comics is if there's a joke that you've ever been told by another club to never ever do in their room again, do it here. We've got like a no wrong answers kind of audience for the show.
Okay. Oh, fucking K. I spent like 2025 putting a bunch of irons in the fire, so um I'm putting together a horror movie musical and spending a bunch of time writing grants to get that written so that I don't have to do day jobs and not write it. Um, I'm teaching a bunch with this group called The Hustle in New York City, which is specifically for uh, actors to get a little insider information on the audition process and like all of that world. I'm working on producing the drag queen Anania's EP coming out later this year that I'm very happy about. Um, that's like the major stuff, and I don't know. I'm always putting out sounds. You c the crazy thing though is always that like when I tell people to search for my stuff, I'm like, let me list all the artists I write for because it's never under my name. It's always under someone else's name that I have written and orchestrated or whatever for. So I'm just like, here's the links. None of them are me. Just go into the info on um, whatever streaming app you have or Bandcamp, and you'll find my name. It's just not the front one.
Who did we do? Did we do everybody?
Angela.
No, Angie went first.
I don't think we did you.
She has the almost book.
Yes.
See?
Okay. Yeah, I
Pay
think that's everybody.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you again for helping me out with this and for doing the inaugural episode of what I hope is going to be a more interesting thing. I think we proved. I think this was a good, like, hey, look what we can do thing, right?
A Shitmus test, as it were.
Unofficial title of this episode: Shitmus test.
The Shitmus test. But also to add though that this is all very good to wrap into, like, maybe we do it the same thing several different ways, you know, and leave that up to like what I found when I did perspective is nobody knew it was the same script, and that was part of the challenge. So the fact that everybody got something so different from it is nice. I think the only question we didn't answer was who is the audience for this, but I think you all are, and I appreciate you very much.
There are many different ones.
Peter Sellers fans.
I think someone said David Lynch in there somewhere.
Oh, yeah. There's some of that. But
David, if you're out there, throw us some shekels. That'd be great.
Anyone who's ever like bought tickets to one of those like any of the like fringe festivals around the country, this is a show for you.
Yeah!
Blaine does. And thank you all for joining